Are we on the air? Okay, thank you. All right then, let's call the meeting of the Community and Policing Committee together on Monday, June 12th, 2023 at 2 o'clock p.m. It's now 2:02, so that's not so bad. And go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mayor John Minto,
Here?
Marlene Best,
Here.
Lieutenant Galvey,
Here.
Jacob Donnan,
Here.
Kristen Dare,
Here.
Angela Tomlinson,
Here.
David Shorey,
Here.
Bonnie Baranoff,
Here.
Linda Roach,
Here.
Dr. Mark Foreman,
Here.
Steve Stellman.
Here.
You have quorum, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Danette, I didn't see you. Sorry. Hi, Danette. Danette's here.
We forgot to tell you you're fired. Thank you very much. Let the record show there is a quorum present. Did I say present or president? I can't remember. Either way, it's one of those days. All right, then we'll have, do I hear a motion to approve the May 8, 2023 regular meeting minutes? Man,
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
okay, motion by Mark,
I'll second.
second by David. Any additions, corrections, discussion, speaker slips? Thank you. Please vote, or call the roll for the vote.
I think so. And Mayor John Minto?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Marlene Best,
Yes.
Lieutenant Galvey,
Yes.
Jacob Donnan,
Yes.
Kristen Dare,
Yes.
Angela Tomlinson,
Yes.
David Shorey,
Yes.
Bonnie Baranoff, Linda Roach,
Yes.
Dr. Mark Foreman,
Yes.
Steve Stallman,
Yes.
Danette McLaughlin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, then that takes us to item number 4, which is a presentation, point in time. Presenter is Catherine Durant. Catherine, come on up. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Sorry, sir. Number 3 on the agenda is the updates from Neighborhood Watch, unless you want to delay that.
Yeah, sorry. I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Great. Can everyone hear
It's
me?
going to be one of those days. I can tell right now.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Kat Durant. I'm with the Regional Task Force on Homelessness. I am the Chief Program Officer at the RTFH as we go by. Oversee one of the programs I oversee is the point in time count. I've been overseeing it for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. A lot of different things have happened with the point in time count. This year we were able to do another fully engaged count. I'm not sure if everyone here is familiar with the point in time count or if I need to go in more details about what it is as part of the presentation.
I think overall everybody knows.
I think everybody
We
here
get-
usually,
Get the meat and potatoes.
yeah, I think here everyone volunteers even, right, for the point in time count. So, we'd like to, for anyone here that's volunteers and for Santee being a count site each year, we do appreciate that. We thank you for all the support. If it wasn't for all of our volunteers, I don't know what the count would look like every year, but because we have so many great volunteers, we are able to do a very robust in counts. So this is the 2023 We All Count results. So I'll do some highlights and summary. I'm going to talk about the Caltrans count, the regional count and demographics, and then I'll do a regional breakdown for East County with some demographics as well. So I just want to start off by talking a little bit about the Caltrans count because this is something that we were able to add to the count this year. So Caltrans, California Department of Transportation, they own all the right-of-ways and maintain our highways, bridges, and underpasses throughout San Diego County and the whole state. We have never had access to these areas to count in the past. This year we did work with them. We contracted with them to access Caltrans areas. So we were able to count people experiencing homelessness in those areas, encampments in those areas. And this was done by a coordination of different outreach teams throughout the county outreach CityNet, and then Interfaith in North County. They rode along for 2 days with Caltrans staff who physically had to unlock each gate, allow them access to count, and then lock them back up, and then they drove to the next site all along the county. It did take place for 2 days, the Thursday following the count, and then that Friday. And we were able to count an additional 661 people experiencing homelessness in the county due to that access from the Caltrans staff. So if we look at the regional homeless count for 2023, we know that minimally we have 5,171 people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. We have 5,093 people experiencing sheltered homelessness. These are both increases. 26% increase in the unsheltered totals for 2023 from 2022, and 18% in the sheltered totals. The total homelessness count for the point-in-time count is 10,264, so that was a 22% increase from the year before for the point-in-time count number. Some elements of the count, again, community engagement with 1,600 volunteers. This volunteer number was up from last year because last year we did, it's hard to remember, but we actually pushed the count back a whole month last year due to the pandemic. It's hard to remember that we were still doing pandemic accommodations, so we did have more volunteers this year. The trained outreach staff, that is phenomenal. 300 trained outreach staff. Probably 4 years ago, we only had 100 outreach staff in the entire county, so you can see the increased funding that has gone into outreach around the county. And what's significant about that is that outreach staff did the count in areas where they know people and were able to engage with those people the night of the count. So they knew where to find them. They were able to get them to do the survey, so it was really important to have them in those areas. We did add 2 deployment sites this year. We broke up one downtown and made it into 2 sites, and then we added a youth count site. We use the Counting Us mobile app. We have used this app before. It is by Santee Technology. We didn't have any issues with the app this year. It was quite easy for us as well because all the kind of background information was already built in, and we just were able to kind of set it up for 2023. So it was an easy move for us as well. Using all of these great elements, we were able to survey 1,977 people the night of the count. That's in 4 hours. Kind of amazing that in 4 hours we spoke to that many people in San Diego County and got some demographic information from them. So this is the unsheltered survey data, some data points. This is for the county, countywide. So we have percentages, and then also looking at the number of individuals. This is based on the 5,100 plus unsheltered people that were counted in January. So 9% were veterans, 44% were chronically homeless. This is all self-reported in the survey. 29% are age 55 and over. There was 24 unsheltered families, and 6% of everyone that we spoke to were unsheltered and under the age of 25 and unaccompanied. So those people were also not part of a family. This is the regional breakdown. Now these are the totals for sheltered and unsheltered. So you can see the percentages for the 5 different regions. So East County had 17% of the total of the overall number, or 1,703 people were counted in East County. This is looking at the unsheltered and sheltered city totals. So we are doing it regionally this year because of that Caltrans number is a regional number, not a per city number. So if you look at the city of Santee, it's there in the kind of the peach color in the East region. So overall, in your sheltered numbers, you had 18 transitional housing beds. You had 9 transitional housing beds last year. Overall, you counted 76 unsheltered persons, and this year, you counted 76 unsheltered persons this year, and last year you counted 48. Overall, it's a 65% increase for Santee with that sheltered and unsheltered total. That number could be due to the Caltrans count. Some of the count could have been in your area, but we are looking at the Caltrans number regionally because we don't want to assign to specific cities. So East Region, some comparisons. So this is for the East Region, like we said, a total of 1,703. So it was a 1% increase overall in homelessness in the East Region from last year. A 25% increase in unsheltered, but when we pull out the Caltrans number for East County, it was a 5% increase. So we do want you to see that comparison from last year, knowing that the additional people that we're able to count on Caltrans property. So moving forward, we will continually have that Caltrans number to work with. Sheltered in East County, there was the night of the count, 797 people in emergency shelter, 471 in transitional housing. There's no safe havens in the East Region, so there was 1,175 people sheltered the night of the count, and that is a 7% decrease from last year. Some demographics for unsheltered homelessness in the East Region. The gender ratio is 72% male and 28% female. There was no significant reporting of non-gender or transgender in East County. The race, if you look at the race, 70% of people experiencing unsheltered homelessness in East Region identified as white, 14% as Black or African American, 13% as multiple races, and then we had 1% American Indian, 1% Asian or Asian American, and 1% Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. And that is significant to note when we do look at the Black or African American unsheltered number, that overall countywide, only 5% of people identify as Black, but 14% are experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So here's a little bit more of a breakdown of sheltered and unsheltered demographics for East Region. So we talked a little bit about the female being at 28% of unsheltered persons. You have in the East County, 7% veterans unsheltered, or 39 people, and then 3% sheltered, or 33 veterans in shelter in East County. Females, 28%, or 148. Unsheltered, but it is significant to note that 53% of females, or 53% of those in sheltered in East County are female. Families, 2%, or 9 total homeless persons. And then again, significant to note, there's 86% families in sheltered. So when we talk about, demographics and subpopulations, it's good to see that the concentration of females and families that are sheltered. Youth, a little bit higher percentage of 10% compared to the overall county number for youth unsheltered in East Region, and then a little bit lower on the chronic homeless number at 38%. So East Region housing inventory and utilization rates. So this is the overall number of beds available in East County, and then the utilization rate for that night, for January 25th. So 88% of emergency shelter beds were being used in East County. Again, you don't have any safe haven beds here. 61% of transitional housing beds were being used the night of the count. 73% of permanent supportive housing beds, or PSH. And then you don't have any other permanent supportive housing in East County. Rapid rehousing, there was 995 people being rapidly rehoused in East County. Utilization rate for rapid rehousing is always at 100% because it has to do with reaching the number of vouchers out there and being enrolled at the same time. I can explain that a little more too, but it's always 100%. But knowing that 995 people were currently enrolled in rapid rehousing in East County. And then we do always ask the question, did you become homeless in San Diego? And overall, 80% of people said that they did become homeless in San Diego. This is about 5% lower than last year. And that's it. Any questions?
Great, thank you very much. I guess maybe I'll start off. We have any speaker slips? Okay. I find it interesting showing the difference, especially when it came to an increase in our city. Overall, it looked like only about 23 more, if I did the math right. That you mentioned a spike in youth. And my question would be is, did we identify them if they're, or were they impounded if they were under the age of 18? And, or were they left homeless? If you came across somebody that was like, say, 17 years old, did you leave them homeless, or did they get taken someplace, or what happened to them?
Yeah, the night of the count, we don't do any supportive services or services. We can always go back
Okay.
and assist someone. I don't know, there was very few people overall in the county that were under 17 or 18 that were counted. I'm not sure the amount, but it was maybe 20 people. So I don't know that anywhere in East County, but actually during the count, we do not take people in because we're trying to do the count that night.
Okay, because that led me to a thought, and, this might be up your alley down there, but with all this homelessness and encampments nowadays, does it make it easier for minors to, when they run away, to stay away? Can they fit in easier? Have we ever looked at that?
I think the percentage of youth that are experiencing homelessness is usually around 6 or 7% for our county. I don't think it has any significant changes. What we did see was a significant amount of youth being sheltered this year because there was an increase in youth shelter.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was something that would make it easier, because a lot of times kids will surf, on the couch of a friend, and parents get tired of them to call. And now, but if they're just taking advantage of when they're out there living in the riverbed or on the street somewhere, nobody's going to really call because it's easier to get out of them what you want when you're, abusing them or whatever. Just keep them there. So that was just a concern. So, all right. Questions or comments, David?
It's nice to see that we have, folks who are in shelters. My question is, and probably, I don't know if you can answer this, or maybe Bonnie, you can talk about this, is that when we say sheltered, it kind of gives a sense of permanency for these folks, and I know that that's not necessarily the case, and I'm wondering, in the breakdown, you had the breakdown of different types of shelters. If you could maybe talk a little bit about what the definition is of those, so that people get a better understanding that, realizing that some of those folks may end up back up on the streets. And so when we say sheltered, it's not a permanent status, it's something that is very fluid.
Right. So sheltered is still considered homelessness. It's not housed, correct? So emergency shelter is just what it sounds like. You can show up and be placed into a bed that night. Emergency shelters in East County would look like East County Transitional Living Center in El Cajon has emergency shelter. And then also the county's hotel motel voucher program is considered emergency shelter as well. Transitional housing is a model that, standing on its own, no longer is a HUD model. We're working our way back from that. So what you're probably seeing here is transitional housing that's matched to rapid rehousing. Transitional housing can be up to 2 years, but it is not, again, permanent housing. You're not allowed to stay in that unit, but you could potentially transfer over to a rapid rehousing program and stabilize there and then stay in that unit. So that's what transitional housing is. Safe haven housing is for people that have a serious mental illness and is also another program that's being phased out by HUD. That.
And then, what is the definition of chronically homeless? What does that
Sure. Chronic homelessness is when you've experienced homelessness, sheltered or unsheltered homelessness for a year or longer, or for 3 years with very minimal breaks in between, and that you also have a disability that keeps you from maintaining work or housing.
Okay, so there's a disability overlay to that as well. So it's,
Correct.
if someone is not disabled, but they are in that time frame, they would not necessarily be counted as chronically
It would
homeless?
not be considered chronic. That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Bonnie?
Thanks, Kat. No, I was just going to ask you to highlight a little bit more of the 797 emergency shelter that David talked about, because we know we don't have that many emergency shelter beds in East County combined. So it was probably, I guess it's probably about 400 or 500 hotel motel vouchers that were utilized in East County. Do you know how many were? I don't think there were any in Santee, but maybe there were some in.
So the number that you're seeing is for hotel motel vouchers. We don't know specifically where people are staying, in what hotel, in what area. But so if we do for some programs, but not for all of them. So then we use the business address of the people or the organization that provides the hotel motel voucher. So it could also be that not all 797 were specifically sleeping in East County hotel motels that evening.
So is it the business address? So if a motel has 25 rooms, you
It's
would count
actually
25 beds?
business address of whoever gave the voucher out, not the hotel motel.
Okay.
So like PGA or the county,
Just trying to.
or, yeah,
Clarify the
I think
numbers.
those are about the only two that give out hotel motel vouchers.
Equus maybe. And just, I think it's great you're engaging with Caltrans now. I think that I just personally feel like maybe the numbers have always been this bad. I mean, they're bad, right? And now that we've got the Caltrans numbers involved, there's more outreach workers that know where to find people that are already engaged, ask them not to, make sure that they're visible between 4 and 8 a.m. on that day. So I know we can't go back, you can't compare apples to oranges on this, but I think that just having more outreach people, and also the relationship with San Diego River Park Foundation and the counts that they do here in the riverbed is helpful for that. But it's good to see that engagement with Caltrans. Thank you.
Yes, look forward to working with them again next year. And yes, like you said, the River Park Foundation, they're great partners as well when it comes to the count, and all year long, actually, so.
Mark?
Two questions. Maybe the easier one. Are any of the emergency shelters domestic violence shelters also?
Yes.
Are they captured in this? So
Yes.
the kids also, are they counted in that number then?
Yes.
Okay,
All subpopulations would be counted.
great. Then back to the kind of the Caltrans thing. Thought popped into my head while you were describing this is all it takes was a key to be able to go in there and count all these people, and they've been gone all these years without potentially being uncounted. But now what? Is it going to take a key to get services into them and to continue the follow-up that happens to everybody else outside the gate? It's not, the lock gate's not keeping the homeless from finding their way in. Certainly, the people providing the services could find their way in also, not without waiting for an annual count.
They do work with them throughout the year, different outreach teams with Caltrans. I know that CityNet does and Interfaith Community Services does. So they were, they knew each other already when we were putting this all together. So they were already aware often of people living in those. And Caltrans does provide to all of the, we have an email list of the 300 outreach workers. They, a monthly encampment schedule that we post every month so that we know where they're doing probably cleaning of encampments or moving encampments or doing their own type of outreach to encampments. So we do put that out so that outreach teams can know where they're going to be and kind of meet up with them and guide them.
Are they coordinated efforts
Coordinated efforts, yeah.
versus after the fact say, hey, we just went in and cleaned up 52 en masse, for instance? I don't know if there's any place to sleep down there, but
They do often have to clean the encampments due to safety reasons, but they now work with us with that monthly schedule. So we get the monthly schedule. It's kind of like a freeway name and then an underpass name. it's not like a specific spot.
Thanks.
Great. Anyone else? Yeah?
I also have two questions. I work in substance abuse treatment. So one of the questions that used to be asked in the point in time count, which I participated in for 100 years, was whether or not the person that was homeless endorsed a substance use disorder or mental health disability, and I'm not seeing that information reflected here.
We haven't put out those information yet, but I know we do report to HUD a serious mental illness and then also a substance abuse number, and I think both of them are around 25%.
Okay. I know in the past they've been as high as 60%. So, and then my next question is, you reflected a number of cities that showed a decrease in homelessness. For example, Poway.
Looks very significant because it went from 23 to 2, so 91%.
Yeah, but still, I mean, and then we're looking at the, at the North Coastal area and seeing a decrease in a number of cities there, and I'm wondering if you have an idea what it is that they're doing that's impacting the number of homeless people in that region.
Don't know about Poway because there really are no services in Poway. I do know in the North Coastal region, there has, Carlsbad specifically has done a significant amount of work in funding around homelessness. Oceanside is just opened a shelter, is about to open a shelter, but it was not open then. NCS was about 3 people different, but they are investing heavily in
It just seems
homelessness in
odd to
those
me.
regions, yeah.
Poway seems like a very nice city, but they only have 2 homeless people in Poway. So not only is it what's causing the decrease, but what's preventing people who are experiencing homelessness from going into those communities. I know for many years, Oceanside as a city was dealing with a significant problem with their homeless population, and it seems that this year they're seeing a 9% decrease. I know also Carlsbad PD has been working towards doing some homeless outreach efforts, and Oceanside has also opened up a sobering center in their community. And so I'm just curious what the difference would be. We always want to know what's working well and do more of that, so I'd want to know.
I know that Carlsbad, they work off a by name list, and they focus on people living in Carlsbad, and they have different funding where they do house people and rapid rehouse them. And they did apply for a COC grant and did receive it, so that funding will start for them as well this year around housing people in Carlsbad specifically.
Anybody else? I'm trying to crunch all these numbers here. It's interesting because a lot of the, some elected officials from these other areas that you asked about, where there's very little or no growth, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what are they doing because they don't participate in a lot of the discussions we have around the county.
Oh, you mean East Region?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was still back on that. Interesting. I'll probably have to call and talk to somebody about that. But
Talk to Bonnie.
yeah, Steve.
Is it possible to get a copy of these slides to digest some of the numbers
Yeah, you
later?
have a copy. Yeah.
Yep, we'll send that out. Okay, if
All right.
there's nothing else, thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks.
All right, let's go back to number 3. Update on neighborhood watch and crime prevention.
All righty, good afternoon, everyone. Since our last meeting, I was able to do a neighborhood watch meeting for the Carefree East condo community. I was able to bring one of our COPS deputies with me to address some of their specific community concerns. You may have seen us out at the Special Olympics at West Hills High. We brought out our outreach booth and our brand new Bearcat to have the athletes kind of hang out and take a look at it, get some good photos with them and their families. I conducted a SEPTED inspection, that's crime prevention through environmental design, for the Edgemore Barn to try and improve their security there on the property. The number of suggestions, hopefully the county will agree with some of those and help them out get better security. And then lastly, we were also at the Santee Street Fair with our crime prevention outreach booth and some of our recruiting deputies, handing out some goodies to the kids and hopefully starting some new careers.
Excellent. Great, thank you. Lieutenant, you have anything else to add? Or?
No, I don't.
Okay, great, thank you. That takes us to item number 5, which is DEI. Anything to add here, Linda?
Saturday's Gay Pride event that was hosted by Santee UMC was a resounding success. There were, I don't have an exact count, but there were over 300 people that were there. Many of the individuals that were there, I had the opportunity to speak with, and every one of them expressed appreciation for the recognition and for the opportunity to participate in this event, particularly in a community in the East County. So they were very, very grateful for that. The other thing that I wanted to express our appreciation for was the Sheriff's Department. Along the route of the walk, there were patrol cars strategically placed to ensure the safety of everyone, as well as to make sure that everything went smoothly, and so we're very grateful for that. It was truly an uplifting and positive, very positive experience, so I'm glad we had the opportunity to do it here in Santee.
Thank you. Did you have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything on that particular event. I'm glad to hear that it went really well. But also, the city's budget is coming up before the city council at our meeting this Wednesday evening, and there is a new line item in the manager's office to include some updates for moving forward with implementing and pursuing the community goals that we have moved forward with. So I know there's been a little, lull until we get the funding set up, but all the work that's been done by our subcommittee here, we're looking at what we can do in the budget year for next year. So we're moving that along. Yeah.
Great. David? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just to follow up, is at the city council meeting, is there a number being proposed that you're asking approval for? Is that what the agenda item is?
It's small to start with. We're looking at about $5,000 to start for signage and flyers and information. And then our marketing group has internally within their budget looked at some additional information. And we're also looking at, or rather additional numbers. And then we're also looking at how we can pull together. There's been a big request over the last 2 or 3 years for sort of an international festival here in Santee, and we're just trying to find a way to make that work. We're trying to pull that one together. So those are some of the elements that we're trying to pursue.
David?
And just to echo what Linda said, I got the opportunity to march in the full parade, and it was awesome. It was great. There was a lot of joy and a lot of support across, the city. I want to especially call out Mayor Mento for his words at the event, which really set the tone. To paraphrase, that the body that sits up here, the city council, is elected to represent all of the people. And you as the mayor really set that tone, so thank you for that. There were a couple of instances that happened along the route. One was, I believe, folks who were not necessarily 100% in support of the march, who were expressing their opinion, and they have their First Amendment right to do that. There was a couple of incidents where a diesel truck drove by the parade and decided that it was going to share its diesel smoke with us, which engulfed us in black smoke a couple of times. And also Assemblymember Chris Ward was marching as well. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him, but he was present as well. And then Kristen, who we know from the YMCA, was marching as well, and it was really, really good to see. And I'm glad to hear about the budget item for the International Festival, because I know in the survey we did, that was a big interest of community members. So I think that could be a big success. So happy Pride, everyone, and I hope you all get to enjoy. It was funny because earlier that day I was in Ramona for the Ramona Pride. So I marched in the Ramona Pride Walk and the Santee Pride Walk, and on Sunday I did nothing because my feet were hurting.
You need a pay raise to buy new shoes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, then. That takes us to item number 6, which is communication from the committee and staff members. Anything we want to share about what's going on? Kristen and Steve?
Sure. I'll just say thank you really quickly to the City of Santee and the Sheriff's Department for their involvement with our Santee Street Fair. It's a big success, and safety is obviously our number one goal above all else. And it was nice to have the Santee Fire Department on site. We got away with, I think, one scraped knee and a scraped elbow and a Band-Aid recovery, and a couple of
I'm
kiddos.
doing much better, thank you.
Yes, good. I'm glad to hear it. A couple of kiddos that were temporarily misplaced from their parents for a short amount of time, and the Sheriff's Department did a great job coordinating with our staff and reconnecting them with the appropriate guardians and taking care of them in the meantime. So I just thank you and appreciate all your help and support.
Thanks. Steve, anything? Bonnie? Okay, thanks. Danette, anything else?
I want to comment quickly about the presentation that we had in the last meeting from the Crimes Against Children Task Force presentation. It wasn't the next day when I was presented with a situation with a young lady who was being texted and asked very leading questions. And I got to tell you, I don't, I work in behavioral health. I don't think I would have been as prepared as to how to respond to that had it not been for that presentation. So I want to remind everybody, and the response that we got from the task force was incredible, very responsive. And so, it just reminds me, I feel like these meetings are important and they're timely, and the information that we get is really useful and potentially saved a very young lady from some harm. So I was glad to be a part of that meeting. Even though I know you just fired me today, but that's okay.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that, because there's, from time to time, I'll get comments about, why do you have that committee? What do you really talk about, and what do they really do? What are your action items? And I have to explain that we don't really have a lot of action items because it's made up of civilians, and the only people that are sworn are the deputies, and so we don't really go out and do things. But what our job is sometimes to bring forward information that is helpful to the community. And this is a great example, because anybody who's to watch this now on Santee TV, or the previous meeting, I should say, then you know what, they may do exactly what you said. Oh, wow, I think I know how to handle this now. So the timeliness and even sometimes repeating some of the information that we get, especially when we get a lot of new folks, we have turnover every couple of years or so, is to bring back some of the information, learn about, and how we can go out into the community, because that's part of our job. Go out in the community and talk to people about, wow, did you know that? Whatever the topic is. So thank you. That's a great example of why we do what we do when we do it. So thanks. Anything, Linda? Mark? David?
So one of the many hats I wear is serving on the Sheriff's LGBTQ Advisory Council. And this last week had the opportunity of touring Las Colinas jail, and got to know a lot more about the programs that they offer there. And what was really impressive for me was the training that occurs and the education that occurs. And I'm not sure if a lot of folks know, but they have a landscaping program, they have a coffee program, they have a culinary arts program, they have a sewing and clothing program, and are really, all the things I saw were really impressive in terms of not only the connection that they try to make with the incarcerated persons, as they're now called, but trying to connect them to outside programs so that there's a continuation. What was really joyful for me to see was smiles on the faces of the incarcerated people who were participating in the program, and the ability for them to feel connected to something that's beneficial and that they can get when they get out. They have the opportunity to take out and improve their lives. It's a big facility. It has the capability of holding, I believe, around 1,500 incarcerated people. It currently has about 500, a little over 500, so it's a 1/3 capacity. But I know it's in the middle of Santee, and so I figured that it'd be good for folks to know that there are those programs, that there is an effort to address the issue of, we're not just incarcerating, but we're rehabilitating and providing training and resources for them. So.
Great, thanks. Marlene, anything else? Anything? Jacob?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone, since we don't have our July meeting, that August 1st, it'll be a Tuesday. We'll have our National Night Out with law enforcement. And that'll be at the Santee Trolley Square from 5 to 7 p.m. right in front of Starbucks, just like years past. We'll have a bunch of specialized units, their cool vehicles, and a bunch of other county organizations that'll have outreach booths set up as well. So come join us.
Thanks, Jake. Lieutenant?
I've got nothing. Thanks.
Staff?
Summer is gearing up, and the Community Services Department we're full blown into summer operations, meaning that, I don't know if you guys know, the elementary schools get out. Their last day is a half day on Wednesday, so a lot more children out on the parks and streets and all that good stuff, so just use caution. Thursday night is our first summer concert, very well-attended community event. We go for 9 weeks nonstop, except for the week the Thursday after 4th of July, which brings me to Santee Salutes, which is our 4th of July celebration. And we still have preferred parking on sale for $10 in some of our parking lots. We'll have lots of activities, a concert, fireworks, of course. We are working very closely with the Sheriff's Department to make sure that we have a lot of support on site for both our concerts as well as Santee Salutes. A new event coming at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, is we will be doing a movie in the park, and actually we have coincided with Hispanic Heritage Month, and we will be showing Coco and celebrating an awareness to Dia de los Muertos. So trying to spread our DEI everywhere. So thank you.
So you're serving Coco. What's the movie?
Coco.
Should have known better.
Should have known better. Time to expand your horizons.
Somebody else had to be thinking the same thing. Come on.
No, that's okay.
All right, then. Thank goodness. So, but I'm still doing a good job because my wife told me so.
She loves you.
That's true. Although she did tell me she's been getting rid of all the junk when we first got married, and I'm the only thing left that she has to get rid of. So, I'm being careful. So, okay, that takes us to number 7, which is communication from the public. Any speaker slips? All right, then. Well, I was going to get there. Give me a minute. Yeah, they're worse than my counsel. Holy moly. Bonnie.
Thank you. I just wasn't sure if this was the right time in the previous agenda item, but I wanted to thank Kat again and the Regional Task Force on Homelessness for today's presentation. The East County Homeless Task Force is going to be welcoming Kat and RTFH, maybe some of her colleagues, to our general meeting on Wednesday, June 28th at 9 a.m. It's at Vista La Mesa Christian Church. That's on corner of University and Massachusetts-ish. Everyone here is welcome to attend. We also look forward to, we have a few reps from Governor Newsom's staff who we look forward to coming and talking about some recent updates to the budgets, to the state budget. And thank you. And yeah, maybe a little bit more deep dive into some of the what's going on in East County that might lead to some of the numbers that we're seeing with increases too. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. Light refreshments will be provided. Maybe we'll have cocoa if we know you're coming, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? All right, then. That takes us to item number 8, which is our next Community-Oriented Policing Committee meeting. The meeting will be August 14th, 2023, 2 o'clock p.m., right back here. And July, we will be dark once again, just for those who didn't maybe catch it. And we're going to talk about the Sheriff's Senior Volunteer Patrol, something that every sheriff deputy aspires to when they retire. No? No. All right, thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.